Lambeau Field,
Fenway Park,
the Rose Bowl, the athletic venues that stand as great monuments and landmarks in our sports landscape. This hour on Yahoo Sports Radio, we take you from coast to coast to the most famous stadiums and arenas in all of sports. Stadiums USA Radio.
In-depth conversation focusing on the popular venues across the sports globe, from the pros to the minor leagues to college.
The latest news in stadium design, renovations, and stadium connections to their communities. Your host, Bill Hazen, talks with athletes, coaches, authors, and newsmakers who share their experiences and connections to the most storied structures and stadiums in all of sports.
The conversation is now.
Broadcasting from Stadiums USA headquarters in Chicago, here's the man who was behind the mic detailing Michael Jordan's entry into the NBA. And now, he is your official stadium guide with your ticket to the latest stadium news and information. Here he is, Bill Hazen.
As a sports broadcaster, I have something of a unique appreciation of scoreboards. You always do. They're an integral part of the job of broadcasting an event. And for many years, I have looked up and seen Daktronics boards. Today, we're looking at a new technology, a new kind of display, much more immersive, and an incredible story about this company, the role they are playing in sports at all levels. We wanted to dig into it a little bit and talk about this new ballpark experience, gigantic scoreboards that amaze and excite. One of the big companies in this space is Daktronics, based in Brookings, South Dakota. Will Ellerbruch is their national sales manager and a former college baseball pitcher. You gotta love that. Will, it is great to have you on as a guest. What a story that, of all places, Brookings, South Dakota would be where this tremendous effort in this field, this immersive experience of sports inside the arena and at the stadium, that it would all focus on this town. What are the circumstances that made that possible?
Yeah, great question. We like in the Silicon Valley in California, but we got, the scoreboard capital of the world is in little Brookings, South Dakota. And so we were founded by a couple of electrical engineering professors from South Dakota State University. And you may have heard of them lately, where they've made the big dance with their women and their men's basketball team. But they were two electrical engineering professors back in the 60s, and we were educating students and giving them the ability to go out and find jobs. And in South Dakota, there wasn't a lot of those jobs at the time. So they got together and said, hey, we're educating these kids. We got to figure out a way to keep them around and be productive citizens in South Dakota. So they kind of started brainstorming on jobs and what they could do to start a company, and they came up with scoreboards.
One of the great advantages Daktronics has is a long association with people who buy these products, and it goes back literally generations, and it goes back to a different time in terms of technology. So actually, many of your contacts go back to the analog age, if you will, and I assume that has been a key part, the relationships that have helped to develop this business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our first product was a wrestling mat-side scoreboard, and that got started with a relationship. The head wrestling coach, Warren Williamson at SDSU, came to our professors at the time, and when they were thinking about starting their company, and said, hey, I need a device that could keep time of my wrestlers for riding time and for score. And these two professors, they're thinking about the jobs and said, hey, well, we could make a scoreboard that maybe could keep that, or a timing device. And that was just some light bulbs put together with some electronics behind it. And so that started out with the entire company, but that started with the relationship between a coach and the organization that they were putting together with our company. So you're correct. We started with some analog displays, and then we built that off the relationships, and that's just kind of been going on over the last 40 years for us.
If I remember right, that looked kind of like a very narrow pyramid, if I remember the shape of that thing.
That's exactly correct, and we have the very first scoreboard we built at our corporate office in our lobby area, and it is a pyramid. Yep, with the riding time, the match score, and then the game time, or the match time on it.
Give us a picture of today's business, what you can offer in terms of the experience which the fan will share at the stadium or at the arena with the technology that Daktronics produces today.
Yeah, sure. So we have a wide variety of things. So if you're talking about sports, if you're going to go into your local gymnasium or high school, grade school, you can go in and have a standard scoreboard like we made in the early days. They'll just have your time and score on it. And then as you progress up into the different levels from minor league baseball to maybe a small college application for a lacrosse field or something, you'll start to add in different types of displays all the way up to the Minnesota Vikings, the Cleveland Indians, which we just installed this spring. It's the largest video board in all of outdoor baseball. It's about 60 feet tall by 220 feet wide. It's the largest video screen going in baseball. And then on that, you'll have your scoring information, which is always important in sports, the time or the score. Especially in baseball, you want to know all the statistics on your favorite player. And then you'll incorporate maybe some ribbon boards that go around the fascia of your stadium. In Cleveland, they go from foul pole to foul pole. Today, we also provide the sound systems. So if you want to put in a sound system and have it thump away as your team's getting the winning touchdown drive or something like that, we can provide that as well. So it's kind of a full visual and audio immersive experience for the fan.
Our guest is Will Ellerbruch. He is the National Sales Manager of Daktronics, makers of those incredible scoreboards that so many of us see. Will, can you take us through the decisions that you make from designing the board and then how you actually implement, say, putting live video in the center or a replay in the center and perhaps an advertising message or a public service reminder of some kind on the side, say?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that go into deciding how big your screen is. And the one thing that we first start out with our customers is that what size video are they trying to play or would they like to play? Do they want to have one of the standards of video is 720 lines, so they call it 720p. Another standard is 1,080 lines of video or 1080p. We determine that, and then after that we say, okay, what else do you want to put on your screen? So, as an example, the Cleveland Indians wanted to have two 1080p video signals running on their screen at the exact same time. So we have two of those running up on their board. And then around that, they needed to have space to put advertisers on left and right of those video images. So we carved out some space to achieve that for them. And then below the two video images, they wanted to fill up the line score, the at-bats, some statistics, and all that game information that's necessary to put the game on. So we put pencil to paper and we drew up some sketches and put that back in front of them to see if this is the windows that they'd like to see or the layout that they'd wanted. And then we obviously put that on some CAD drawings and got some computer files and did some digital rendering so that they could actually see the thing in motion and action. And then they decided, okay, this is the right size that we're looking at.
Well, this sounds to me like it's beyond the capabilities of a single person to handle it. Just how large of a team does it actually take to present the images the way that obviously your system is capable of presenting them?
So like a major league sports operation, you'll have anywhere from 25 to 30 different people on game day that are producing that show. So you'll have your camera people, you'll have, the assistants to the camera people running around with the cables, you'll have a producer and a director just like you would in a television studio or on NFL game day in the ESPN truck. You have a whole staff of people that are taking in replays, cutting the images, and so they can be replayed back out. So in a lot of those professional stadiums, you're going to have 20 to 30 people on game day. And as you scale it down for some of our high school customers and some of our stadiums that maybe aren't quite as large, you can have 2 or 3 people that can sit down in front of a computer and put up a show. It's not going to have the live show and the instant replay that you see at a professional stadium, but you can put on a really nice show with some pre-programmed graphics and pre-cut animations and things like that can be played. in a timely fashion during the event.
You know, Will, it seems to me that yours is one of the businesses that was influenced by the emergence of HD television in the home. And this is something that perhaps many of us didn't connect the dots, but I'm sure Daktronics did and realized, you know how thrilling it was when we saw HD for the first time. Many of us didn't realize the implications of that in terms of attending stadium events and how that would become a source of competition. How did that drive the displays that we see today in the stadium?
Yeah, that's another great question. But one of the major competitors that each one of our stadiums has is the home theater experience. You know, as we all know, you can sit at home on your couch. Now you can have a big 50 or 60-inch TV with surround sound and enjoy your own restroom and your own beer without going to the stadium. So the stadiums have to keep up with that same experience. And in some cases, you have to go beyond and provide something that you can't get at home. So that really did start to drive. When that HD TV came into play, the stadiums immediately started looking at, okay, how can we duplicate or improve on that experience? And so we obviously were more than happy to sit down and discuss that with people as to, okay, how large can we go in your particular stadium? How large do you want to get? You know, what are you trying to achieve with your video image or your video content back to your fans? Is an extremely important conversation to have. And you know, as we see, each stadium is trying to get a little bit bigger, a little bit larger than the next stadium. So the Jacksonville Jaguars 2 years ago put in the two largest video boards in the NFL. They're gigantic screens. They're actually larger than the football field themselves. So imagine sitting in the stadium and having two screens that are bigger than the field. So during pregame, they're able to show 6 different television feeds. So it's like sitting in the world's largest sports bar. As pregame unfolds, you're able to be kept up to speed on what's going on with 6 different games around the league. And then when the game starts, you can unveil multiple different replay angles. And so you kind of start providing the fans different things that they can see at home is the objective that the stadiums are trying to put together. And Daktronics has been able to help a lot of our customers achieve their goals.
What a story, and all of us can relate to this because we've all been in stadiums and we've seen these boards. All of us have. Congratulations on all the great work you're doing, and what a fun business to be in. You make an awful lot of people happy.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's something that I've been doing this for over 20 years, and people say, why do you keep doing it? And I'm like, well, it merges the two things that I like the most. I like sports, and I like technologies. So it puts both of those together in one nice bow, and we get to talk about sports and technologies every single day, and we get to see, like we've talked about here, what's in the future, and look in our crystal ball and help our customers achieve some of their goals. So it's been a real fun ride, and I appreciate talking to you.
Will Ellerbruch, who is the National Sales Manager for Daktronics, one of the leaders in this industry.